Okay, good day, everybody. Today we are talking to John Burke, CEO of the Armada at Spanish Point here in Ireland, and we're following on with our theme of green leadership for hotel managers. So, John, the first question, first of all, thank you very much for giving up your time.
Welcome.
The first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your understanding of corporate social responsibility from a hotel's perspective?
So, in the last number of years, I've broadened my perspective of what it means. There's always going to be that environmental component to it, and that's always going to be the one that comes to the fore and has come to the fore so often. More and more research as it's come out from Fáilte Ireland and from other bodies says, was to the consumer, there's often an element of parking up a little bit of a guilt consciousness around carbon footprint for travel. You know, they're aware that they're aware that they monitor throughout their lifestyle and throughout the year at home. And there's an element of, look, this is my moment to kind of let the hair down and enjoy myself. And there's going to be an environmental consequence to that. And there's no doubt about it. Tourism as a hotel, there is an environmental impact, and we're always working to reduce that. But it just exists, and we can continue to try to reduce it. But it is a reality of our industry. I suppose as the consumers have changed, so too has the perspective of myself and the team in the Armada. Been led a little bit by that research. It's been led a little bit, I suppose, by pinch points that we felt in the industry, a shortfall of employees and talent. And we started to delve and look a lot deeper into the other component to it. So one of them being the employee component. That's a really, really important, I believe, as an industry where labour intense. We often have a large component of the lower paid jobs within our industry. There's an amazing array of highly paid jobs within the industry as well, but there is a component of lower paid jobs within our industry. And there's an opportunity to make a positive impact to their lives by having good, solid policies and procedures and practices in place. So for me, that's a really important component to it. There's a real potential to make an impact to people's lives. And to me, that's one of the greatest outcomes of a hotel like mine in rural Ireland and in rural wherever it may be, that we can make a real positive impact to people's lives by having proper procedures, policies, and having quality employment and giving people a proper path to career progression. Beyond that, I suppose, again, looking at the nature of my hotel, and that's, I suppose, where I'll reference a lot this too, but I suppose it would apply to so many other hotels. Hotel that's embedded in the community, a small community in rural West Clare. There's also a great potential to make a positive impact to the people around us. And again, that's, I suppose, another huge focus of the business now. As we look at CSR and delve into it a little bit deeper, it's, how can, as our business continues to grow and succeed, and mightn't always succeed, but for now, there's probably that it's generally positive and we're succeeding and winning more than losing at times. Can we create an uplift for the people around us? So I suppose that's something that's really, really important as part of CSR. And the final component that's become very significant and important is over the last number of years would be, how can we impact suppliers as well? How can we support them in allowing them to make a positive impact in the work that they're doing? So supporting them and encouraging them for, I suppose, a better technology, reducing their environmental impact, better, for us to support them when they're buying in more conscientious products or from more conscientious overseas suppliers. And along with that, trying to bring suppliers together. So again, with, good buying power in the Armada, purchasing power of over 3 million per year in a rural area, we can take the lead a little bit in how we support our suppliers. So sometimes bringing them together, a supplier that has a good idea and mightn't be able to fully bring it to market, supporting them to bring it to market, not just by buying the product off them, but for example, one of our suppliers was developing a unique beef product. We support them, we advised them, we visited the farm, we brought them in to meet the chefs, we spoke to them about what our customers' requirements were. We were eventually their very first customer. And we kind of provide a little bit of mentorship for them all the way through. So not just buying from local, like we will all say buy local and we'll buy local, but bringing it to the next level. So CSR has become a very broad ranging scope rather than just environmental. It's very much the employee, the community, and the suppliers as well. And that's, I suppose, where the real excitement can be as well.
Fresh. And we're going to explore all those themes that you just brought up there now in a little bit more depth in a bit in the interview. The next question I have for you is, what insights can you provide, and you're definitely in insight mode with what you just said there, providing regarding the interplay or the intersection between corporate social responsibility then and ethical business?
Yeah.
You know, that's taking it to another level again,
Okay.
really. Isn't it?
Yes. So I guess to become, the Armada's become the first B Corp hotel in Ireland.
Mhm.
And there's
Now, for the international audience, what do you mean by B Corp?
well, yeah, B Corp is a highly regarded international accreditation,
Yeah.
which is great. So Patagonia would be
Yes.
one of the flagships of B Corp, flag bearers of B Corp. But it can be difficult enough within the hospitality industry to achieve B Corp. B Corp, I suppose, takes a very stringent, in-depth view of ethical business practices, and that's something that we've been really proud to develop. I guess ethical business practices to me is what does business, can we make a positive impact around business, and can we do it in the right way? Can we make the right choices? Can we have strong governance practices would be really, really important around it as well. And B Corp is a good way of monitoring that and assessing that. And we've performed really well on that front. Ethical business choices to me, I suppose, is sometimes about paying a little bit more for something because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
About supporting our employees a little bit more because it's the right thing to do, and it may put pressure on, and it may eat into profit and bottom line, but it's the right thing to do. And I suppose B Corp, the simple message about B Corp is balancing purpose and profit. And as a B Corp business, we're saying that, obviously all businesses need to be profitable to survive, and profit isn't a bad word. Profit can sometimes be, business can be seen to be so focused on profit that it's at the detriment of everyone around them. But B Corps, firstly, to become a B Corp, you have to be a profit-making business. You can't be a not-for-profit. You can't be a charity, etc. You have to be a profit-making business. So it's saying that why can't a business be profitable, but also providing benefit to those around them? Why can't it make a positive impact to those around it? And I suppose an ethical business to me is a business that can be profitable and they can make a positive impact to those around them.
So now you are the CEO of the business. So how important is leadership in terms of corporate social responsibility and ethical businesses? Does it all begin and end with you as the owner, business owner and manager?
Yeah, I believe it's so important that leadership is on board, and for the right reasons. For me, the right reasons are, I'm 25 years at the helm in Spanish Point. If I'm going to be there for another 25 years, it has to be more than the bottom line and the set of books. There has to be something, there has to be greater value than just financial. And that has kind of driven me and spurred me on to say, look, let's try to do the positive work along the way, because it's exciting and it's interesting, and it'll attract talent, and it'll attract the right talent. It can't just be led by the leadership team for marketing purposes, because you know what, if we push this out here, we're going to attract corporates because they're going to be all over this. That's just all wrong. And that will, the next thing then will come along, and then that desire from leadership to push that agenda, will cool down. The next thing might be, there's, better digital marketing strategies, or we're going to redevelop our website and we're going to join chambers of whatever it might be. There's always going to be new strategies around sales. So it has to be more than a marketing. It has to be something that's embedded in the brand. The brand being, what does this business stand for? What does this business mean? When someone hears the Armada, what emotions does that conjure up? It has to be as embedded into the business as that. And the only person that can really lead that, or that has to start with leading that, has to be at the top of the organization. So for our organization, I have to lead that. I have to believe in it, and I have to want it. For a bigger organization that might be led by shareholders, the chairperson, whoever it might be, it has to matter to them, and it has to mean something to them, and it has to be the long journey. and it can't be something that's simply delegated out as this is the task and this is what we need to achieve because, it's going to be the right marketing or it's going to be good for business or whatever else, so for me, it absolutely, leadership is critical to it.
So from your perspective then, what in your opinion are the key notable features of sound leadership in the context of corporate social responsibilities? You just mentioned they're going through CVs. When you're looking for leadership for the business, what are you looking for in terms of corporate social responsibility, as terms of attributes for that person?
Yeah. So I think for certain roles, like we have a wellbeing manager who actually has taken on board the B Corp accreditation and a number of other components of CSR. So again, it's finding, for that particular role, it was finding somebody who aligned with our brand, and a lot of our CSR is around the Bay. That's what brings our brand to life, and that is something that we can believe in more. So how can we protect, the Bay and the area just outside our doorstep? So for that role, when I saw somebody that was a lifeguard, that worked with Clear Water Safety, that is active with the surf organizations locally, you're starting to see somebody that lives that life as well. Now this person had a master of HR and a few other components, but equally as important as the masters in HR, it was somebody that lives the life that we want to be or to support. Exactly. When somebody brought those characteristics, it was that was just the perfect CV. So when you start seeing components like that in a CV, then it really brings that to light. Exactly. So if our brand is all about life by the sea, and therefore we're bringing our CSR strategy by protecting the sea, protecting the Bay. So within leadership roles, it would be great at the top of leadership if we have people that are interested in the Bay, that are interested in the outdoors, invest in that lifestyle, are willing to buy into it and believe in it, are active. That might be very simply, they don't necessarily have to be an adventure sport enthusiast surfing, the Cliffs of Moher. It might just be someone who says that they love walking by the Bay, or they participate in beach cleanups, or it could something like that is as simple as it could be something as simple as that, as much as whatever further education they've done in that, or the right qualifications are
business acumen that they may have.
Exactly. If they can believe in it, and if they live the life, then it's as important.
Now, you mentioned there about the whole, at the start, the part of your CSR strategy is the whole employability piece of it as well. And in terms of your hotel's corporate social responsibility policies, in what way do they identify or reflect the UNWTO's Sustainable Development Goals? So there's 17 of them, and one of them specifically looked at sustainable employment. The idea that local people in an area, there has to be something back for them.
Yes.
So how does your brand and how does your business align with or take cognizance of the UNWTO Sustainable Development Goal?
So we've delved very deeply into the employee piece in the business model and strategy. Another component, the number of components to would be, I suppose 80% of our employees, first of all, come from within 10 kilometers of the hotel. And considering 180 degrees of that radius is the sea, and we haven't any mermaid employed.
Yes.
So we've a limited catchment area. So we have a huge number of people from a small rural area within 10 kilometers, 80% of our employees. So within that, we've delved into, I suppose, supporting people from disadvantaged areas. So and that was an objective of B Corp. So we would have looked at areas where there would have been, I suppose, DESH schools, and how do we, we're in work there aren't really disadvantaged areas by what the UN might see as disadvantaged areas. But I suppose where there are DESH level schools, we might see that they required more government support than others, because there might be an element of certain areas of poverty within the community. So we tried to. We have clear strategies around supporting, encouraging employment from areas like that. We have strategies around people with physical and intellectual disabilities being employed. We have strategies around young people from our local school and supporting them and employing them. So we try to create strategies that mightn't necessarily always align with the best, most productive employee that we can get into the business. But if we can get somebody in that is supporting a person from the community that may not get other employment, then we believe that it can make a real positive and lasting impact in the area. Those people can often be the most loyal, long-serving, and valuable employees. You know, people that may have an intellectual or physical disability, the productivity might not be as strong as a fully able-bodied person. But their impact to morale and to team spirit can often have an uplifting effect on all the employees, and we've seen that time and time again. So I suppose that would be they would be some of the strategies that we'd work towards.
Great. Then what is your understanding of the relationship between corporate social responsibility and climate change? And you mentioned, you're very much embedded in an area of natural beauty. The brand is bringing that natural beauty to life. So what is your business doing in the context of that, and, the relationship between how you run the business and climate change?
So that's an ongoing area that we have to keep progressing on. And we're very conscious of it. And as an oldish building, there's a huge amount of work that has to happen bit by bit by bit. And it has been happening for the last number of years. So I suppose moving away from fossil fuels is a strategy of the hotel. Moving towards electric energy is a strategy. Big investment this year would have been around a replacement of kitchen equipment. Induction, we're probably within County Clare area. We probably have the highest level of induction equipment within any kitchen, commercial kitchen. Our main kitchen, we've only one gas component within our main kitchen, and that kitchen you could have 10 to 12 chefs working in that space to give it terms of scale, and there's only just one gas component. So induction at a huge cost, but a far better space to work in outside of the environmental impact. So solar panels would have been a huge investment this year. That would have been the biggest investment, single investment. The kitchen and solar panels both happened this year. Kitchen was a 500,000 investment, and the solar panels were 140,000 euro investment. So a long way to go, but huge commitments made. Solar panels, it's a 365 kilowatt system. At its highest, it's generated so far 1,000 kilowatt hours on a particular day, and we'd hope to see many more of those days. So it's having a huge impact on the amount of electricity we're using.
Right.
So we have to continue to move towards electric energy within the hotel. We had to support that and we had to, I suppose, make the right business decision by ensuring that we're not overly exposed to electricity prices, go sky high. When they went the last time, there was an element of protection because there was an element of oil heating in the hotel. And as we move everything towards electric, we have to protect the business somewhat. So the solar panel was really important. Wherever we've done work, we now have 3 heat pumps, and we have a lot of air conditioning in the public areas. The next strategy is to move towards heat pumps in all the bedrooms. With 3 different blocks, and we have to move towards heat pumps in each block. So the first will be in January this year, and we'll have our first 30% of the hotel will be heated with a heat pump, again, electric energy. Our gas is bio LPG gas. Again, that's the right decision to make on that, and it comes at a cost. So we're making the right decisions, but it does take time. I suppose the other thing is reduction of consumption. And the advice is always the best energy is the one that you don't use. So we have to continue to reduce, and that's training and development and ongoing education within the workspace and reduction of consumption. So we monitor consumption continuously, and we're setting targets, and we're creating targets within the team and within the management team for that on energy usage. So our environment, our carbon footprint, and our the impact of the business, it exists. Where we have some space, we have some work to do to continue to reduce it. We've made huge inroads in the last 12 months, and over the next 2 to 3 years, though a lot more work will be done. The other work we did this year was insulating all the attics, and insulating some walls, replacing some windows and doors. So not only have we to contend with the building itself and the efficiency of the building, we have to move towards electric. Then we have to generate some electric energy. The project, the scale of the project is huge. Overall, I would say probably about 2.5 million of investment, and that's just cannot be done all at once. So potentially 3 more
It's
years.
staged.
Exactly. There's about 800,000 spent in the last 12 months,
Sure.
which is huge, but the rest has to
Yeah.
be staged. And
is the plan eventually, John, to get to a point where you'd be carbon neutral, in terms of energy, that you'd be able to provide nearly all the energy from solar energy yourselves, or close to?
Not quite. On the sunniest day in the summer, we get very close to,
Right.
for this year, we'll get very close on the sunniest day.
Yes. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of those in Ireland.
No, exactly. So, we probably need a solar farm to get us to that point, and that might not be that crazy of an idea down the road, and wouldn't be adverse to it, but it won't be on site.
Sure.
It might have to be off site, so the infrastructure now will be absolutely huge.
Yes.
So probably a 10-year project, but making the right other decisions along the way, and there is a lot around carbon neutral businesses, but I suppose the real meaning of carbon neutral businesses and the impact of everything we use, it's impossible to become carbon neutral.
Completely, yes.
It's
Yes.
like, if we start to take into account the carbon footprint of the guest traveling
Yes,
for
yes,
business and
yes.
everything else,
Yeah.
but we're certainly moving in the right path,
Very good.
and it will take a lot of
Yes.
investment, and it is the right thing to do. But it's like we were saying earlier, you have to make profit along the way,
Yeah.
and our consumer, and for example, a wedding couple, while this is on their agenda, it's also
They're not
they
going to
want
compromise on the experience.
they still want to make sure
support.
their carpets are perfect,
Yes.
and
the
the
hotel is lit
the
properly
joinery
and-
is done, and
Yes.
the bathrooms are perfect,
Yes.
and everything else along the way.
Yes.
So you have to always balance everything
absolutely.
together.
And that brings us nicely into the whole idea then of sustainability. Climate change and sustainability are two sides of the same coin, essentially. So what is your understanding of the relationship between corporate social responsibility and sustainability? We hear a lot in business about the business being sustainable, and that's back to profit. But I suppose in the context of what we're talking about today, it is the environmental impact of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the future sustainability and profitability and a potential for the business to continue to trade into the future, and CSR are absolutely interlinked for me, and they can't be separated. I think the consumer is more and more interested in this. Certainly the corporates are huge. Tour operators for us is absolutely critical for them. Certain markets are absolutely zoned in on this right now. Not to mention, where will it be in 5 or 7 or 10 years' time? But beyond that, the employees are interested in it. And if we delve deeper into the CSR and we look into the employee proposition, and we look into the community and everything else, it's becoming more and more relevant, and more important to attract talent, to retain really, really good people. And we spoke about chefs as we prepared for the interview, and 31 chefs in the Armada now. And I suppose the key to that is retaining people. We can keep recruiting, but if we're recruiting 3 and losing 4, it's not a good strategy. So retaining people, giving them, chefs burning out, and just use them as one, but that could be any department, bar staff, banquet team managers, housekeeping, anyone. So, creating an environment where, these chefs can, and also we spoke about someone who reached full retirement age, and we celebrated that. That was just a number of months ago, because some of our chefs said, how many chefs have we had retirement parties for?
Yes.
Some chefs said, I've never seen them.
Yes. Yes.
They've always moved on to another industry.
Or out of the industry.
Out of the industry,
Yeah.
exactly. Why are we losing them to other industries? And why can't we create? And it's hard because it becomes a big cost, but we're not going to have chefs and just to use them for one example, if they're doing 70 hours a week or 60 hours a week in the summer. So as I said, our guys are 40, 42, 43 hours at the most. Right now, and 100% occupancy last night, and big numbers. And they're starting their shift at 2 p.m. We're not trying to bring them in at 10 a.m. for prep. They're starting the shift at 2 p.m. Finished at 10 p.m. So while they're under pressure during service, they still have their hours are normal, their break, everything else. So it's really important for the future of the business to make the right strategy, to make the right decisions around employment, around community, around everything else, because it will ensure the future of the business. you know, if we want, and very much one of our strategies, continue to elevate the standards of food. We can't elevate the standards of food if we're not going to retain chefs. We're not going to retain chefs if it's not embedded, and if it's not a top priority of ours through our CSR strategies to make it a better place to work.
Great.
So it's absolutely interlinked at every point.
Again, we talked earlier today about, you know, procurement and your strategies to support local businesses. So in terms of procurement and your strategies about procurement and processes, can you describe how ethical and sustainable practices are embedded within your supply chain? You know, in terms that would obviously be, you know, buying local. You know, the idea of not having strawberries on the menu in the middle of February when we don't grow strawberries in Ireland in February. All those types of things. How are they embedded in your business?
So absolutely, menu planning is really important, and we have an element of seasonality in our wedding menus. We would, example the strawberries. We would have them. We would have a strawberries dish available during when Irish strawberries are available. Yeah, and I think people, if you can commit to that and explain that to people, then they love the idea of strawberries when they are available. And they buy into, well, do you know what, maybe they're not going to be available. They're not the right thing to have at Christmas. Anyway, potentially. So people can buy into because what's usually right for the environment is probably right for the palate as well. So those types of decisions are really important. We have the component of outdoor dining during the summer, so making the right decisions around packaging is really important. There's an element of the risk of packaging blowing from the tables into the sea. So I suppose making the right packaging choice is really important there, and that takes work. So for example, our packaging being compostable for our outdoor dining, it's fine for bags and boxes and all of that can be done. But when you get to ketchup, it's very difficult. Like, you can't get a compostable ketchup. We couldn't. We tried. So we had to buy our large buckets of ketchup, and we had to decant them into individual compostable units, containers, and that came at a real cost and a real commitment. So when it gets busy, we could have somebody for half their shift
just dealing with
ketchup. You know, a real cost. But if we are saying that our packaging choices are right and our purchasing choice around packaging are right here, well, we can't just say, well, you know what, there isn't really an easy solution for ketchup. You know, there isn't really an easy solution to that. Well, actually, there is a solution, but it's just not easy. You know, we got to live it all the way through. So decisions like that are really important. And again, you know, outside, you know, plastic bottles are far better and easier, and there's less risk of outside from breaking and all that type of stuff. But you know what? You know, we're not using plastic, so let's stick with it, and we have to make sure we have enough staff on and we clean it and we do it right. So we have a policy around purchasing that, you know, if there's an Irish supplier, I suppose, first of all, an international supplier, we're willing to pay at least 10% more for the Irish supplier. And the same then goes for if it's local supplier versus an Irish supplier, a local being within 80 kilometres. When it comes to buying for us, we define as local within 80 kilometres. We will pay a premium price for local. And we can pay more. It just needs to be approved. But our purchasing manager, without any approval, should make a local decision for 10% and can go beyond that. So I suppose all those decisions are right. And then it's everything down to the compostable pods in rooms for the Nespresso machines. You know, again, like, they cause a little bit of problems with machines. They might confuse it as well, and they come with a premium price. And and they mightn't be the brand of machines we have when it comes to compostable. But it's making those decisions all the way through. So I suppose making purchasing decisions that has to be part of our supply chain all the way through. So from our fish, season of fish, we really want to get to the stage where we're, you know, one of our dreams would be that, you know, we're buying during the busy season, buying just an entire catch from. There's only one fisherman in our community now. Right. You know, for our local area was a fishing area just further up the coast. In that particular port, there's one full-time and one part-time fisherman, where there might have been 20 before. You know, we'd love to see the idea of his catching lobsters. Then they're going, and a lot of those lobsters are going to France and Germany. You know, we'd love, and that this will come with a bit of work, that we're buying his entire catch of lobsters for a week even, and we're just going all in and, on that, and making sure that we've assigned lots of labour to that. We're processing, and every outlet, it's lobster this, lobster week, spring rolls, lobster week, everything. You know, and then maybe we're buying his entire catch of fish, and it might be pollock and it might be, you know, the less trendy fish.
Yes.
But you know what, this is what we're doing, and
Yes.
this is as local as it gets, and this is buying his fish and potentially paying a premium price for it. But this is really, really local. This couldn't get any more local. So it's those type of decisions are
And I suppose the storyline behind that is something that's attractive to consumers as well. They're reading it on a menu that the lobster is literally from outside the door.
That's right. Exactly.
It really buys into the locality.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like local is always better for the supplier, for the consumers. Where does the challenges arise is the predictability, supply and pricing and different things like that. Continue to supply. So we just have to be, we are making the right decisions on it, but we have to keep committing and making more and more decisions around that.
Very good. Again, something we alluded to earlier, and I said we'd come back to it, and we'll come back to it now. You know, from your knowledge and experience, how interlinked is ethical employment in our industry with corporate social responsibility? Because, like it or not, our industry does get a very bad rap for low pay, long hours, etc. So how does your business square that circle?
Yeah, it's a tough industry. There's lots of tough industries out there. You've a bit of construction going on here.
Absolutely.
You know, we always think we've the toughest industry, and then we renovate in January, and we look at these guys coming in working hard and long days and long hours. So sometimes we can get caught up in this bubble and say, you know, we're the hardest working industry out there. But actually, you know, I experience with so many other industries, whether they're suppliers or whether they're construction workers or something. There's a lot of hard working industries out there. I suppose the nature of our industry, maybe it's the nighttime work, and it's the nature of, if you start bringing alcohol into the consumer profile can change a little bit. So we really believe in trying to make it, you know, the best possible it can be to work in, and we believe it can be. It is an amazing industry to work in, and I know you're absolutely vocal and passionate about this. It's an amazing industry to work in. People have left our industry and gone to other industries and have returned because they see so many positive to the industry, the camaraderie, the positive energy, the creativity, and you know, and it's a creative industry. You know, there's so much between food and cocktails and wines and interior design and graphic and music and entertainment, and there's an element of the arts and creatives.
And it's dynamic. That's the biggest thing.
You know, hugely dynamic.
You'll never be bored.
We'll always say about people and that, but there's so much more to it than the people. It's so important. There's so much more to it. So it's an amazing industry to work in. And what are the pitfalls? Maybe when the hours get too much, the peaks and troughs of business. So we are working really hard to try to eliminate the pinch points that counteract all the positives. So the hours, the rostering, obviously split shifts are gone. You know, breaks, staff meals, 1,000 of the basics. You know, to get the basics of communication comes down so many times as one of, I suppose, surveying our employees. We have a live survey just gone live last night, a really in-depth survey that we delve into a really in-depth questionnaire with every employee. And the biggest feedback that comes out each year is often the simplest thing of communication. You know, letting them know what the future of the business is, letting them know what's happening that week, let them know the changes that before they happen, a training on menus, communication on menu changes, drink changes, price changes. So that's the job chats, the huddles before work, the departmental meetings, the employee advisory forum. You know, all those are really important, and we can sometimes forget about those and hustle and bustle work. So getting the basics right is the first thing. And I suppose with a wellbeing manager, sometimes the things we looked at straight away, you know, when he came on board, we need to do yoga, we need to free surfing
for the staff,
and all those are there. Actually, it's way down the list of priorities for the employee. It's often the basics. It's the staff meals, it's the breaks, it's notification rosters, it's the communication. So we want the exciting stuff that captures the headlines, but that without that, the exciting stuff without the basics is absolutely, you know, it can frustrate people, because we could be letting them know about the free yoga tomorrow morning, and they're saying great about yoga, but you know, I don't know my hours for next week. So you know, so moving both forward is really important, but particularly the basics. There was a big focus in on basics. Then I suppose it's things around a fair and quality employment. So career paths to grow. One of the biggest pieces, one of the pieces of work we did this year was just for our bar department, creating the structural progress from from bar back right the way through to head of beveraging.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see a career path
Mm-hmm.
commencing on minimum wage and going all the way up to, potential salary equivalent, I suppose, including tips of potentially 60,000
Mm-hmm.
a year for someone in food and beverage. And we're saying, but this is someone that hasn't even left the beverage element of going on before they start going into food and beverage management or senior leadership. And that head of beverages and the roles below, senior mixologist, these are unbelievably valuable people that can give so much benefit to the business, grow our margins, can create new routes to new consumers that are on trend with weddings and everything else. So let's pay them, let's train them, let's pay them. So we had a mixology development program, we had a bar development program, we have the path to progress issued out to all our team. So there's, a bar person that can now see a path to growth and development and a future. Essentially in the job that they're interested in, that they don't have to say, you know what, I want to get a mortgage for my house, so I better go and take that job in Shannon, in the factory or wherever it might be. We can now provide that. That's really important. And then it's down to, that's just, we say, for the bar department. We have done it for the restaurant, particularly around wine. And now we need to bring that out into so many areas. So rooms division is really easy to bring. Obviously, there's so much path to progress there. And then I suppose it's the policies and procedures. So everything from, we had a big review of those a number of years ago. So I suppose the whistleblower policy, the bullying harassment policies. Then we have everything down to the menopause policy, breastfeeding policy, and all the others that just set us out to say, what is the industry best doing? And I know there's so many hotel companies that are already doing this, but I suppose I'm speaking from the perspective of an independent hotel operator where these mightn't exist. Traditionally, I suppose I believe that we all have to try to make them exist and make the right decisions because that's the right thing to do. That's what the industry best is doing. So we need to do that. And, when you're doing them at time, you say, when will it be relied upon? Every once in a while, something will arise and say, hold on, we've something around that. What's our strategy?
Or policy?
So we can make it a good quality, develop a good quality employment proposition.
Great. We're nearing the end, John. Your business is absolutely rooted and embedded in the local community up there. So this next question is, our statement, rather, is looking at that, the relationship between host communities, and in tourism literature, host communities literally means local people living within a business. So that relationship between host communities and sustainable development, how would you explain the underlying dynamics of this relationship? You're adding on to your hotel, you want to develop your hotel, but how is that impacting on people in the locality?
Yes, great point. So again, the first thing is to be aware that I can become so insular, and sometimes when you're listening to consumers who are so pro the business, they can drive that insular focus.
Tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. And say, isn't this business great for the area? And look at all the people you're employing. Look at all these young people you're employing from the area. And you're sponsoring the team, or all that stuff. And you can start believing, you know what?
I'm a hero.
We're doing so much. But maybe there's a consumer that doesn't come into the business. Maybe they're just not in, for no reason, for no bad reason. It's just not their thing. And maybe they're walking up and down the road to the beach, and all of a sudden there's litter thrown on the road. Or the other night there was rock pulled down from a wall. It may have been one of our customers that did that on the way on their way up the road.
Exuberant.
So that person now on their way to the beach in the morning, and there's one particularly elderly lady that I see with a walking aid. And those rocks on the path, have absolutely thrown her day up into disarray. So the first thing for me is not to become too insular, and I have been guilty of that, where you kind of just start looking and saying, do you know what, there's going to be this and that.
Collateral
wrong.
damage, as they call it.
Collateral damage, but we're far away to go. And that and maybe there's an element of that is true. But to that person, they don't want to know.
No.
They just want to get to the beach unhindered that day. And it could be the rocks, or it could be rubbish, or it could be cars parked bad. There could be noise. There could be extra footfall on the sand dunes causing damage. So the first thing is to be aware of it, I suppose, and to be aware that there is a negative impact of bringing people to an area. As long as we can make sure that the positives are far outweighing it, is really important. And as long as, I suppose, an area like we do need economic growth, we do need employment for young people, we do need, if we're making the right employment decisions, then yes, there is an impact to the sand dunes, but there's also the positives of all the other things, employing people with physical, intellectual disabilities, so many other decisions, so they can help to start balancing things out a bit. But first thing is to be aware of it. Then the next thing is, I suppose, is to communicate locally. So being part of community groups, community forums, an advisory forum is something we've worked on. We have an element of it, but we want to delve deeper into that. People that will give it to us straight, of what is the impact. So, for example, I'd be very acutely aware that we're about 1.5 kilometers outside of the main village. And there's no obligation for the business to support that main village. There's no obligation whatsoever. But maybe the business should be supporting that main village a bit. Maybe they don't have the marketing power or the digital marketing budget. So for us, for example, one of the projects now is creating a map of the village, encouraging people in. Why not go in for a couple of drinks before dinner? Why not have your pre-dinner drinks in Miltown Malbay? And it has to be more than just saying that. We have to do the maps, encourage them. Here's a few key points about the 5 or the 11 different pubs, I think. Here's the few key points about these pubs. If you're into this, visit. Here's during the day, wander into town. Here's 8 discovery points. It's there's over and back. It's 2 hours of a trip, maybe from the hotel to discover these. So we have to encourage it a little bit more. The next step might be actually providing a shuttle bus for people in and out. So I suppose engaging with people, being aware of it, and then just saying, okay, let's try to see how we can undo some of the negative impacts. So the litter from the person going up the road that leaves the place late at night and decides to throw their bottle of beer down on the ground. We have to be conscious of that, and we have to monitor and patrol those areas. We have to monitor and patrol the cliff edge. We have to support beach cleanups, which we would lead. We have to engage with the community, and then we have to say, well, look, or we keep going on about the economic benefit of it. Well, how do we spread that economic benefit further afield? How do we not just say, well, we're bringing all these, and Fáilte Ireland would say for every euro that's spent in a hotel, €3.80 is spent within the local community. So we can't just throw that stat out. Let's just try and say, well, actually, let's encourage people in a little bit more. Obviously, all our team events we bring to the local village, buying within the local village and all that. But let's bring our customers in there. Let's encourage them in there. We're going to lose a couple of drinks before dinner. It's not going to be the make or break in the business. But if we can get 50 more people, even 30 more people in every night of the week for the summer, it would make a nice impact
on the village.
Yeah. So being aware of it, I suppose, not being too insular in the outlook, and then trying to find the little bits that can be done along the way.
Great. Finally, if you were to sum up the business case for CSR and green sustainable practices, what would you say are the key aspects in your opinion?
The key aspects are retention of talent, including myself. If I could be generous to myself, call myself talent.
Yes.
But we'll use talent very loosely around myself. But retention of key people and talent would be very, very a significant component to it. It's I believe, attracting certain markets, whether it's corporates, tour groups, is really significant for now. We're obviously the basics of reducing environmental impact and doing the right thing for the environment, I suppose, is the first thing, but that's the given. Making a positive impact on the community, which will always only come back to you in droves. That positive impact, those right employment choices will always come back to you in droves, and will always ensure the longevity of the business for those down seasons when we can rely on, where it's peak season now, and we're so focused on tourists, but then there's November, December, January, February, and that local trade, that fair trade. So CSR choice will support that. It'll elevate the brand. We can spend so much creating brand and marketing strategy. But for me, the most important thing for brand is CSR strategies. Having it embedded in it, having a business that matters. And I make so much of my purchasing decisions. I mentioned about Patagonia, a Finisterre, camper there, the shoes. I will make purchasing decisions around them because I know that their credentials are strong.
Yes.
And I'll never vocalize that to them in any way.
Yes.
But that's just, I suppose, my purchasing decisions. So CSR, I suppose, will align with consumers and they will make
How you live your life.
choices around.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the longevity future of the business. I have to look beyond the next year or two for business. I have to try to look in my role, to the 10 and 15 and 20 years, and are we making right decisions to make sure there's a business there? And it'll often be, Spanish Point isn't the strongest destination in Ireland. We have to make the property a destination, and something like CSR will ensure that. And it will ensure the right people are working there, will ensure that the right talent is there, that are making the right decisions for the right reasons, and that believe in it and believe in the brand and believe in the bay for us, believe in life by the sea. So for me, it's absolutely critical to the future for all those reasons.
And you mentioned there going way back earlier in the interview, John, you're 25 years at the helm of the business, and I got a sense even from that statement you're actually thinking of legacy here. You're thinking of the day will come when you want to retire yourself, but you want this business to continue long after you.
Yes.
And to, build on what you've achieved in terms of sustainability, embedded in the community.
Yes. That's right. And actually, as part of B Corp, within the Articles and Memorandums of Association, it's embedded now within that we have to make the right choice and we have to make a positive impact where possible on the community and the people around us. So it's right back now into the foundation of the business, and I would like to create that legacy of business that's solid and it's secure and it's made the right decisions along the way. And I suppose on the other side, I'm conscious 25 years in, there's a risk of getting bored with it, and and so many businesses that can happen. That it just
becomes humdrum.
It becomes humdrum, and the leaders can clock it in, and just kind of get through it. And to the detriment of the future of the business and the employees, and it can have, a business can fail because of that. So I have to be conscious not to get bored. And something like this is exciting, and it excites me. And if it can just keep that excitement and spark right, well, then that's really important for the business as well. So the right spending and decisions are made, and the right investments are made, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be great to be part of something for 25 more years. That has made the right decisions, and I suppose that can be a leader in certain areas where it can be, and I suppose when the time comes to retire or sell or whatever it might be, it might be employee shareholding by then. Who knows what the future will hold? But that it's been enjoyable and it's been exciting, and the future is bright for the business by the time that comes.
Great. Well, John, thank you very much for your time. It has been fantastic actually listening to you. Certainly, you're very passionate. That certainly comes across here, and I hope the viewers get that sense through watching it. You're passionate about the topic of corporate social responsibility.
Great.
So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me here.